Good morning. My name is Kevin Burt. I'm with the Department of Workforce Services Unemployment Insurance Division. Today's briefing will be discussing the unemployment claims data from August 16th through August 22nd. What we're seeing is two trends that I want to go over. So I'm going to be a little bit of a Sean the statistician this morning and talk about two of the overall trends that we're seeing. One of them is the trend in continued claims, and the other is in new claims. Continued claims continue to go down, but we are starting to see that new claims for unemployment benefits have started to plateau and are plateauing at a high level. So continued claims, remember unemployment insurance is week to week to week. So continued claims is a good indication of how many people are continuing to need the unemployment benefit. So if you're new to apply for unemployment, you will do an initial application, and then every Sunday you will have to attest to your current employment situation. Have you looked for work? Have you worked and report any wages? And you have to do that every week. And that weekly attestation is a claim for the continued benefit or a continued claim. That number for last week was 60,733. And that is down about 10% from the week before. And the continued claims has gone down actually for 16 consecutive weeks. So since the peak of this pandemic when it came to continued claims was early May, it has gone down for about 16 consecutive weeks, meaning that the number of individuals that are requesting it has gone down every week for 16 consecutive weeks. Now there are still 60,733 people requesting the benefit. That's a lot of people impacted by a loss of employment or certainly a reduction in income. And that is 6 times higher than the number of claims that we took last year, where we were taking about 10,000 claims a week. But again, just for some perspective, in early May, continued claims were at about 120,000. So it is about half of the continued claims that we were seeing at the peak of demand during this pandemic. But it continues to be 6 times higher as certainly COVID-19 continues to be disruptive to employment. Initial and new claims. So initial and new claims is the initial claim for benefits. We've seen an overall increase in new claims for benefits for now 3 consecutive weeks. And remember, and also for the week, it was 5,628. That's 5 times higher than the number of new claims that we took last year. So the new claims about 4 weeks ago were hovering around 7,000 a week. And then early August, with the loss of the $600 stimulus that came from the CARES Act, we saw a decrease in new claims, and it started hovering more around 5,000 to 5,500. Now that decrease that happened during those 2 weeks has now stalled, and we continue to see around 5,000 to 5,500 people applying for benefits this week. Now, what does this all mean? This means that there are some promising trends. There are some people that appear to be returning to work as seen by the continued claims reduction and less and less requests for the unemployment benefit. But we still see 6 times the number of people that are asking for the continued claims as compared to 2019, and still 5 times the number of applications received compared to 2019. So it is very clear that COVID-19 continues to be incredibly disruptive to employment. The demand for the benefit continues, and we're going to continue to meet that demand and help individuals with this unemployment benefit that are eligible. We did see that pandemic unemployment assistance, which is the unemployment benefit for those that are self-employed or gig workers, normally not eligible, but it's a temporary, fully federally funded program that helps those that are self-employed or gig that also are unable to work as a direct result of this pandemic. Those pandemic unemployment assistance applications increased by 16.711%. So that's where we saw our biggest increase. The new state benefit actually saw a slight decrease, but the pandemic self-employed continues to certainly be disruptive with COVID-19. The other thing that I want to highlight is the extended benefit. So remember in the CARES Act, it introduced an extended benefit. It's important to remember that unemployment insurance is time limited. So when you first make an application, what we will do is we will look at your last 5 quarters of wages, and based on those wages, you'll make a claim against them. And if you're unemployed through no fault of your own, you will be determined eligible for a certain dollar amount and up to 26 weeks of unemployment. So unemployment historically has only been available for 26 weeks. Now, with the CARES Act, it introduced a 13-week additional extension that is fully federally funded, which is the Pandemic Extended Unemployment Compensation. Now, we've seen those numbers hover around 1,000 for 6 consecutive weeks. And this week, it actually went up by 11.711% in new claims for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. Now, this is an important one because what this means is individuals who are qualifying for pandemic or applying for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance means they have exhausted their right to the traditional state unemployment benefit for up to that 26 weeks and are on their last 13 weeks of state or of unemployment benefits available to them. So that number continuing to increase is showing individuals that continue to struggle reconnecting into the workforce as it has gone beyond 26 weeks, and now they are moving into their final 13 weeks of the unemployment benefit. So again, it's clear that individuals continue to see their employment disrupted. COVID-19 directly related, or the impacts of COVID-19, whether it's a loss of consumer confidence or certain industries being significantly impacted. We're certainly seeing a lot of people still needing the benefit. There are some promising trends, but there's still, again, a lot of people applying for it, and we're going to continue to meet that need. One thing that is important, and it started this week, is at your continued claim, individuals are now required to do their job search. Remember, there's going to be some important steps, not only this week, but every single week moving forward that you make an additional claim. Essentially, you're going to be asked every Sunday when you can file your claim, did you look for work the week before? And it's a yes or no. And in order to be eligible for the benefit, the answer has to be yes. And then after that, every individual that applies will be asked to report their 4 unique job contacts, and then those will be cataloged, and those are audited randomly to verify that the actual job contacts are made. So please, if you make job contacts, keep a record of all the job contacts you have made for that potential random audit, so that you don't have any issues with your unemployment benefit. But that's not only this week, but it's every week moving forward as long as you continue to get the benefit. That is true for all unemployment programs, so please be aware of that. And with that, we'll go ahead and open it up to see if there are any questions. Yes. So the question is about the lost wages assistance and the executive order signed by President Trump when it comes to the stimulus benefit for those that are unemployed. We announced last week that Utah was one of the first states to apply for the lost wages assistance grant and has been approved for 3 weeks of stimulus payments for those that are unemployed and eligible. That is for the weeks of July 26th through August 15th. So the weeks have already passed, and it would be a retro payment of $300 a week for those 3 weeks for those that are determined to be eligible. There are new rules to it because it comes from an executive order versus the CARES Act. They follow different rules, different funding streams, and we continue to receive guidance. But we are confident we're going to be able to get this out to people. It's going to be 3 weeks to be able to get to payment. So again, there's no application. No one needs to apply. No one needs to call and ask for it. If you haven't received it, it's not that you've done anything incorrectly. It's just a matter of making sure that we understand the program, that we pay it out accurately to avoid any overpayments, and that we pull it from the right funding stream, because we have to set up financially to draw it from FEMA rather than our normal funding stream of the Department of Labor. So it's a little bit tricky, but what we do know is we have received 3 weeks of funds. We're going to make sure that people who are eligible for receive it, and it's going to be about 3 weeks. Now, keep in mind, there are a couple people that are not going to be eligible for the $300, and it's based on the limitations of the executive order and the restrictions that were outlined in it. Individuals, when you first apply for unemployment insurance, again, you're making a claim against your wages, and we determine a monetary calculation of what your weekly benefit amount could be. If that weekly benefit amount is less than $100, then according to the executive order, the individual is ineligible for the $300 a week stimulus payment. The other thing is an attestation is required that you are unemployed as a direct result of the pandemic. So we are working to get that attestation. We ask it at the initial claim, are you unemployed as a result of the pandemic? And we'll be using that. So what we will do is, again, there's no need to apply. It has not been paid out yet. There's not a need to call. We are going to pay it retroactively for individuals that were eligible during the weeks of July 26th through August 15th. And we are one of few states that have been approved for that benefit. And we know it's critical and we know it's important. We just need to make sure that we follow the rules and comply with this new program and make sure that people receive the benefit. One thing that I do want to highlight that we discussed a couple weeks ago is we know that there's been a significant change to the unemployment benefit. Prior to, they had a $600 stimulus, and then now we have this short-term 3-week stimulus benefit with lost wages assistance. Remember, there continues to be housing assistance. If you are struggling and having difficulty with your rent or mortgage, we encourage you to call 211. There's a housing assistance grant to be able to help individuals that have rent or mortgage issues that continue to be unemployed. Prior to the loss of the $600, there was a disqualifier for individuals for this assistance based on the receipt of unemployment. So an individual that was receiving unemployment with the $600 stimulus was ineligible for the rent assistance because they were receiving this enhanced, rich unemployment benefit with the CARES Act $600 a week stimulus benefit. That current disqualifier of receiving unemployment is no longer there. So individuals that are unemployed, that are having difficulty reconnecting to the workforce, and are in need of rent and mortgage assistance, we encourage you to call 211, get connected to your local agency to figure out how to apply for that assistance. That's not run through the Department of Work or through Unemployment Insurance Division. So please call 211 and get connected to your local agency if you are in need for that. With the unemployment assistance returning to a 40% replacement wage, there are other programs that potentially were not available to applicants, like the food assistance program, medical assistance through the Department of Workforce Services, that might supplement some of that losses with the loss of that $600 stimulus. So we encourage you to go to jobs.utah.gov also for other financial assistance programs if you are struggling with that loss of the stimulus to the benefit. So the question is, do we believe that there will be a crisis when it comes to the end of the stimulus benefit, or sorry, the end of unemployment as the extended weeks expire? And I guess I don't know the answer to that. I do know that there is some concern of a cliff effect. And we experienced that recently early in August, where individuals were receiving a full replacement wage of unemployment, and then the CARES Act $600 stimulus expired, and individuals saw a reduction of their benefit from the full replacement wage to the 40% replacement wage. And so that similar cliff effect will occur for individuals that exhaust their initial 26 weeks of unemployment and their 13 weeks of extended benefits. So that's a max of 39 weeks of unemployment. That's one of the reasons why we made a decision to end the job attachments. We are currently in week 25 of the onset of its significant increase in unemployment claims. So we're nearing the end for many individuals who have been on unemployment from the onset of the pandemic to their state claim. That 13 weeks will provide some help to individuals, but it's only limited to 13 weeks. So if individuals are hopeful to return to where they worked but have been unsuccessful for the first 25 weeks, unfortunately, the unemployment benefit will not last through the length of this pandemic. It continues to certainly be disruptive, and some industries absolutely are struggling to return. The one promising sign is that we have the lowest unemployment rate in the nation. We have a 4.5% unemployment rate. So individuals, so will it be a catastrophe? I don't think it will be in Utah, but it will be disruptive to individuals because they will have to look for work and potentially work in industries that they have not worked in before, and unfortunately will have to leave the job that they're comfortable with, perhaps temporarily, to be able to find some stability or short-term stability in employment that is not available in unemployment as it exhausts. So what we know is we'll continue to provide that assistance. Remember, a lot of the other programs are based on income eligibility. So if the income is reduced, you might still be able to receive medical assistance or food assistance. But unemployment is not income-based. It's based on your wages and it's time limited. So we encourage individuals to look for work. Hopefully they're successful in finding work. We do want to advertise that today we have a virtual job fair, and that is from 10 to 1. Please log on to jobs.utah.gov. It's a great way to start to network virtually. Last month, we had over 80 employers signed up, so it's a great way to connect. And for those individuals that are nearing exhaustion, I think they'll be able to find some employment that will provide some stability until there is more stability with COVID-19 and we see full economic recovery. But I think that's what Utah has going for it, is we have a very low unemployment rate. But it will be disruptive in that individuals will have to work in industries they're not familiar with. But I don't think it'll be catastrophic because we have such a diverse market in Utah, as seen by the 4.5% unemployment rate. Mm-hmm. Okay, so the question is about individuals that are struggling with the new change with the reporting job contacts. And so if last week you did not look for work and you're asked to report work this week of what you did and you did not do it, you're actually ineligible for this week. And so the important step to take this week is to look for those 4 job contacts this week so that when you apply on Sunday, you can report those 4 individual job contacts. There's not a need to reapply. It's just that disqualifier occurs this week. Unemployment's week to week to week. So if an individual is ineligible because they didn't meet the requirements of the program this week, it doesn't mean they're ineligible forever. It just means they're ineligible this week until they have corrected that and move forward, and that will be available next Sunday when you file your continued claim. It's just really critical. And again, we totally understand that we've had this, many individuals, this is their first experience with unemployment insurance. But this is the program that normally is the 4 job contacts, the required 4 job contacts. So there's going to be an adjustment. We've added an FAQ to kind of walk through the steps you need to take, but just make sure this week you do your 4 job contacts, catalog those, and then when you do your weekly claim next Sunday, you'll have to report, yes, I did the job search, and report those 4 individual job contacts. And if you didn't do that this week, which made you, or last week, which made you ineligible this week, then you would resume eligibility. So please make sure that you continue to do that. And again, it's every week moving forward from here on out. You have to report those 4 job contacts, and hopefully you're successful in reconnecting with the workforce. Yes, and so the question is, what if I just didn't file a claim on Sunday? Can I still file this week? And the answer is yes. So you can still make a claim for last week throughout this week. The reason why I say Sunday is because that's when it first becomes available. So Sunday is the first time it becomes available for the previous week. Most of the grand majority of people file their continued claim on Sunday. But if you weren't able to do it, you experienced maybe some connection issues with your internet or whatever it was, and you weren't able to do it, absolutely you can still file today for last week. But you will have to test that you did job search and report those 4 job contacts, which is and the normal questions that you receive in your unemployment claim. But this week was the first time you saw those questions added with the removal of the job attachments.